So welcome everyone to a brand new session of Dev Dives. It's not the last one this year. We still have one more coming up in December, but today we're meeting for Build Smarter Agents with UiPath Agent Builder, our second Agent Builder session this year. And as usual, we have a few ground rules just to make sure the session is enjoyed by all, and we also get a nice and clear recording for the rest of the global audience who was not able to join us today. So we fully expect you to enjoy, of course, the session. You will receive the recordings, the useful links, and the presentation. You will receive them on your email tomorrow when we wrap up the event. So you can look out for that, and you can also share it on LinkedIn afterwards if you find it resourceful. You can address in chat your questions and challenges. If we are not able to answer you right away, we will keep the questions for Zach in the Q&A, and whatever is left unanswered, we will keep an answer by email maybe afterwards, but we will have a Q&A slot at the end. Of course, throughout the session, you're also encouraged to share your LinkedIn handles in the chat and connect and have fun today. Don't forget, you can reach out to me, Mihai, or Zach also in the chat, and we'll be there. And of course, today we have again Zach presenting with us, which is Director with Product Management for UiPath. Welcome, Zach, and I will switch to him now.
Great. Thank you, Christina, and good morning to everyone. We've got a very global audience. I'm in Austin, Texas, dialing in, and very happy to be with all this morning. So I'll start by, I think, what we'll do is we'll start actually with a few slides here just to kind of level set and give some updates, as it pertains to our current strategy, our plans going forward. All these slides will obviously be made available to y'all after the presentation to take a look through and review in more detail because I want to make sure I get through this content, but more importantly, I want to show you some of the cool updates that we have made in the product since we had our last Agent Dev Dive, which was, I believe, back in April. So since then, we've GA'd Agent Builder, our coded agents, our Maestro products. We've seen a ton of success, in terms of folks and customers looking at UiPath now as not just a leader in the automation space, but as you can see here, as a kind of end-to-end agentic automation platform, right? This is what we call our Act 2. We are now in this transformation phase at UiPath where no longer is it just about, us being able to create, highly reliable RPA deterministic based workflows to automate processes. But now it's all about like introducing, ways that the uncertainties, the complexities, the unstructured data and reasoning that might need to take place within some of these processes, introducing agents to help accommodate, some of that, right? And working in tandem with humans and robots, that's kind of part and parcel the pillars to our platform. And how truly we see like people really, achieving and realizing ROI from AI-based investments. It's not just about the model itself. It's not just about using an LLM to do certain tasks. It's about the application of reasoning. It's about the, leverage of various tools. It's about the ability to kind of string these together in a congruent manner, right? So that you can leverage all the best in class, deterministic based actions and entities from robots to the non-deterministic set of tasks that, agents are really good for, to ultimately also having, still humans in the mix, right? Both as creators and as decision makers, right? And so our product strategy as we kind of look ahead at UiPath is built on these kind of four core pillars, namely that, we're looking at how we can not just build agents, but build reliable agents. That's our mantra. And so what we'll see in the product, what you'll see in this product strategy is our mission is to help our customers, accelerate time to value with best practices by default. Our agent builder experience, right, and this concept of agentic solutions means that like we give you all the necessary tools to go and fine tune, obviously hook into your enterprise applications, enterprise DBs, right, for context engineering. But ultimately, we want to provide you with the necessary platform and like a low code interface, right, and all the necessary things to get started quickly, right? Best practices to reinforce building effective agents, right? Not just building agents, but building effective agents, right? And ultimately kind of stringing this together, right, with our agentic orchestration platform, namely our Maestro product, right? And so what we have, obviously at UiPath that benefits us is there's kind of like these bottom two layers, right? Not only are we giving you this amazing experience in Agent Builder to build reliable, effective agents, the ability to orchestrate them, in a congruent manner and have full traceability of your process and the entities that are being used within that process, but it's built on, our existing platform. It means that all of the tools that we have at UiPath are available to agents to be used, right? Not just within the agent's runtime, but also in tandem with agents. And then ultimately, of course, this is all built on our trusted cloud, which provides enterprise level security, governance, and the adherence to compliance standards, especially when you have these new entities like agents, right, that are reasoning over proprietary and potentially sensitive data, right? So our kind of mission here at UiPath is, again, like, when everybody has an agent builder these days, right? It's not just about building agents. Building agents is easy now, right? You can do so in code. You can do so in pretty much any low-code agent builder that's out there. But agent builder at UiPath is different, right? Our vision and our mission is to help you, again, build agents with this concept of controlled agency with reliability, with best practices, so that not only are you building an agent that can do a set of tasks, but you build an agent that you trust and are confident in putting in production environments that are interacting with your enterprise data and your enterprise applications. And so as part of that, we could create this what's called a batteries included experience within the agent builder, right? Whereby not only do we give you all the best-in-class tools that we have within our automation platform, right? But we give you this flexibility now to go build in your preferred authoring mode. That means in low code, or when you need to dive in and get more granular control over, say, the Python functions, the variables, the utils, all of that stuff that goes into underneath the covers, your agent, right? We provide that flexibility because we want our end users, our developers, right? We want to meet them where they're at. And we want to do this in a congruent way that still allows us to help you confine and control the nature of your agent in its runtime, right? In the environment in which it's going to operate. And so part of that is, not just like giving you all the tools, but again, giving you this chassis, the UI, so that we provide traceability for what happens within the agent runtime. We give you options to provide feedback on your agent to help reinforce certain behaviors. And most importantly, we give you the tools, batteries included, right in the experience to go evaluate and score your agent to make sure it's on the right track for the output that you're looking for and the trajectory, the manner in which it gets there, right? And so our kind of view here, right, is, we want to give you this like end-to-end experience in Agent Builder, whereby it makes it super easy and clear for you to build, test and evaluate, and then ultimately orchestrate, right? Our view and our vision with all of the kind of new improvements that we made to Agent Builder that I'll show you in a moment, right, is to make it simple for you to get started, make it simple for you to evaluate and understand the implications of the evaluations that you might make on your agent based on your ground truth, and then make it simple for you to use and deploy those agents within the broader process in which they're actually operating. Agents don't necessarily just operate in isolation, right? At UiPath, these are enterprise agents. That means they're used as part of business processes. And so therefore, there needs to be a seamless integration between the agent builder experience and what happens in Maestro and the handoff between the two so that you can continue to build, you can continue to automate, right? And then most importantly, too, as you continue to build and iterate, you can discover net new opportunities, right? That makes it super easy for you to continue this cycle going forward, right? But the concepts here, right, is, we're looking at how we can ultimately institute, within our agent build experience, right, this concept of controlled agency, whereby humans have oversight into the design time, into the kind of traceability for what happens within the agents, using a number of methodologies beyond our evaluations experience, but things like our guardrails services and our governance checks that exist, both at the LLM layer, at the tool function calling layer, and then even at the kind of organizational layer, right? So that we give you not just the ability to build agents, but the oversight that exists, within the agent's build and runtime experience, so that you have, as a human, right, the ability to kind of have the checks in place to make sure that the agent is operating as you expect, right? And the necessary, tooling so that, when there is an intervention necessary, right, we give you insight into that. We give you foresight into that, right? So that it's not just about letting your agent run, assuming that the checks work, but letting them run with trust, right? With confidence that they will operate and they will bring you in as needed, right? And our vision here too, right, as I mentioned, is, within the agent building community, we have folks that are building in low code and we have folks that are building in code. Claude Code is one of the greatest tools that is out there. OpenAI Codex is a great tool. Right? There's a number of these fantastic, CLI-based tools that aren't low code. And for all intents and purposes, that's fantastic. You should build agents as you see fit, right? Low code is a great vehicle to do so, and we make it easy for you to get started quickly. But the vision at UiPath, again, is not necessarily to behold you to a certain authoring style or method, based on what you need. So if you're comfortable in code, we embrace that. We want you to build in code, right? If you're comfortable like starting in low code and then you want to go into code, we're going to give you a path to do so in a seamless manner, all within the agent build experience, right? And so our vision, right, again, is to, embrace the coded community as one of a set of developers, right, that can, go and build effective agents, right, and use Agent Builder, and not just UiPath generally, but use Agent Builder as a way to help also improve those agents, right? So we give you all of these kind of necessary things, at UiPath now too, with our new partnerships, with LangGraph and with Llama Index and a number of, and now OpenAI too, right, where we provide not just code samples, but SDKs, right, and native integration into your development environment so that you can build agents, easily package them, and then make them runnables within the UiPath, Maestro experience. And very soon, as I was mentioning again, like our vision is to allow folks to help to be starting in, low code, right? And then as you need, be able to convert that code, that low code package, that low code agent into a coded manifest without needing to leave, your experience, manage your source code in GitHub, right? But still have all the necessary, things that are mentioned here on the screen so that you can continue to build in your preferred authoring mode. And our vision at UiPath with Agent Builder, right, is to not only provide the ability to convert into code and continue working, or to convert to code and then make that, obviously a runnable that you can use in Maestro, but to be able to convert to code and then take advantage of some of the great things that, Agent Builder provides, namely things like our evaluations experience, our scoring capabilities, our testing and simulations capabilities, right? So it's not just about like, us, giving a set of toolkits to the coded agent community, but truly creating a net new experience by which we offer this flexibility and authoring so that you can build effective agents with UiPath. That's our vision, right? Part of that too includes, of course, our ability to not just see and provide the tools that are available at UiPath, all our great RPA workflows, our API workflows, the agents, right, our integration service activities, but also now providing, the option for folks to use MCP servers, right? The most common protocol by which agents can communicate to tools effectively during function calling, during their agentic loop, right, is MCP. And so our view here is we provide a bidirectional kind of offering in that regard, whereby we now can expose UiPath tooling, namely all the automation tools that I just mentioned, right, as MCP servers. So if folks are building and starting in code, they can reference all that great toolkits. And then the inverse is also true, right? So external or locally hosted MCP servers can now also be represented and made available as tools to low-code agents, right? Thereby, right, us kind of promoting this kind of concept in the same regard as our ability to disambiguate, low code and code as the authoring, experience, we want to embrace the kind of broader community of agent builder, experiences and tools that are out there. So MCP allows us to, expand the aperture of what we are making available to folks to build with. And we're going to continue to invest in these various protocols that come out, such as A2A and many others, for not just, the tool-based interactions, but the agent-to-agent based interactions. We want to embrace, this ecosystem of rich protocols, and ultimately, again, at the end of the day, like help users build reliable agents with the best-in-class things that are out there to do so. We had a number of really cool, exciting updates that we announced at Fusion. There's a ton of videos out there. There's lots of blog content that came out recently. Suggest if y'all have a chance to just kind of go through, parse through it. There's some awesome stuff, that we're looking at, improving the agent build experience, improving the Maestro experience, improving the studio experience, improving basically everything across our platform. These are all now kind of coming together in a congruent story to help support, again, this concept of agentic orchestration. Within the agent builder experience, we have some really cool stuff that we announced too that I'll help to show you in just a moment. We have a new agent visual designer and tracing UI to support effectively building agents, not just in a kind of form-based view, but now being able to see all the elements of your agent, understand the interaction patterns at runtime, and now have an improved tracing view so that you can debug in a more effective manner. We've expanded the toolkit, as I mentioned, to include, MCP servers, and now IXP, or intelligent extraction product, which is a multimodal, version of what is of DU to help tackle like large unstructured documents. And now we also have new support for file attachments. What's not listed here is, as part of also what we're introducing, is conversational agents, right? That will be GA actually this month. They also will look to support voice as a new media that ultimately agents can process in real time, and then take action on, right? So our concepts of multimodality, this kind of toolkits that we offer agents to be able to process more complex input types and arguments, right? We'll continue to invest in that space. Our governance standards continue to expand as well. We now have CMK, our customer managed keys, available for data at rest for the agent traces, as well as this concept of OTel. So our traces then effectively can be represented in this OTel standardized schema. So while we have, obviously our orchestrator monitor section, we have our own agents landing page that I'll show you guys some updates to in a moment as well, that provides all these kind of runtime stats and KPIs to analyze your agents, right? We also give you this opportunity, right, and flexibility whereby the traces that are emitted from agents, whether it be in design time, eval time, or runtime, can be represented in this OTel standardized schema. And we provide a mechanism to start pushing those in real time to your desired observability platform. So a very common one we hear oftentimes is MLflow. There's obviously Snowflake, there's Dynatrace, you name it. There's a lot of these platforms out there whereby we understand customers are centralizing their observability to. This OTel feature allows for you to then start emitting agent traces very soon, of course, other trace-based services such as Maestro into your desired observability platform. So you can manage all of the elements of your process, your agent runtime, all that in one place. Part of our ability to define and create reliable agents too means also investing in one of our kind of pillar products, context grounding, as not just a RAG or a context grounding service, right, to provide and retrieve information, to go and inform prompts during the agentic loop, but actually to do more advanced context engineering, right, to give the agent the ability to connect to multiple data sources and infer information from them, but not just grab information, but really truly comprehend the information they're in, right? So being able to ascertain information from multiple sources, right? Being able to reason over it, and then being able to derive, from that reasoning, true meaning that then can be used to ground the agent. That's where we have some of these really cool new features, such as deep RAG, which has become a very popular net new feature in context grounding, to do a MapReduce style of reasoning-based summary generation for use cases like medical record summarization, whereby we can pass in a very large medical record file to an agent, have it use this deep RAG tool within context grounding to reason over this very large unstructured document and help extract and find and summarize even large passages of very specific information from that, large document, ultimately then to produce a, well-structured, formatted summary that a clinician can go and review. Batch transform is another really cool feature that we're also going to be announcing in preview, I believe GA early next year. That helps agents effectively reason better over CSV-based data, right? Very common, use case we hear often from our customers is, I need a way for an agent to interpret this CSV, grab information from other sources, and help me update this, right? Remove the steps and manual kind of transfer of a CSV through or an Excel spreadsheet in multiple steps of a process, have an agent help do that, right? Very common use case in that regard is the tech transfer process in manufacturing, whereby, at various steps in the manufacturing process, folks may need to, basically use a single source of truth to define, parts or testing procedures, right? And pass them to multiple people to go and review and update. Batch transform provides a way for agents to reason over these CSVs, interpolate, add new information, right, and then produce a net new CSV right in the agent runtime. Some really cool stuff also that's coming very soon. I mentioned conversational agents now will be generally available as of this month. We have a new update to agent memory to expand what was previously called our escalation bounded episodic memory to now include feedback. So direct annotations now on traces or on agent traces can then be imported into agent memory spaces, and then the agent can use and query that at runtime to help inform, better paths, better output, right, during the actual agent execution, right? This is something that, I'll show you in just a moment. And then we're also investing as part of our kind of reliable agent mission in this concept of our agent score, right? So this is, again, like our heuristic measure of your agent definition at design time. And we give you these tailored recommendations based on, your prompt design, the input arguments, tools that you may have, and most importantly, the diversity and results of your evaluations within your agent. This agent score is a pretty fundamental pillar to the design time experience that we're investing in so the users can better understand when there are issues versus improvement suggestions, and to be a bit more harsh on the intent, on the prompt styling, on the tool use, all of these kind of good things so that, again, we make sure that agents before they're published and deployed are built with these best practices. We have a number of, kind of updates to the 2510 state. Many of you may have seen this, view before. This is just a comprehensive view of all the things that go into Agent Builder, our toolkit, the tool guardrails, context grounding to support, highly performant context engineering. We give you this, a native assistant in the build time through our autopilot to help you build your agent, ask questions of your agent, right? Our agent score, as I mentioned, is this, measure, right, to help provide and help make sure that developers are on the right track, based on the kind of congruent elements that you see on the screen here. Our evaluation service has been growing in popularity. We now have a number of out-of-the-box evaluators for you to use beyond the kind of JSON similarity-based LLM as a judge one for output evaluations. We now have things like a trajectory-based evaluator. We have context precision and answer faithfulness evaluators. And very soon, we're going to have custom Python-based evals. So you can code specific evaluators that you want to evaluate your agent with, both for low code and then also for coded agents. Very good. So let's also kind of talk through, one thing that we're also going to really start investing in and as part of our mission going forward, right, as I mentioned, is accelerating this concept of time to value. So we have this very large catalog of agent templates that are out there, I believe over 30 pre-built agents that UiPath has validated, vetted, evaluated, and ultimately packaged for y'all to reuse and leverage as part of your build time experience. These come with a well-defined prompt that again we validated. They come with tools, and they come with even evals for you to evaluate your agent as you continue to build. These very soon will be not just available in Marketplace, but also available directly within the build experience from Studio Web. So as you get started building agents, you will have the option for all of these templates right from the get-go within a one-click experience to start building your agent right from there. We'll continue to invest in this area, right, as part of our kind of mission again for accelerating time to value and building reliable agents. Let's see. Obviously we kind of talked through a little bit about this concept of the evolution of context grounding beyond just being, a grounding or RAG-based service for semantic search. With a managed ingestion pipeline, a managed query pipeline, it's much more than that. We are now introducing these new capabilities through deep RAG, batch transform, right? Continuing to invest in the quality of service that we provide through the existing kind of traditional semantic search. But also, right, to make sure that we're providing, a great experience in the instance management or the index management experience so that you have a better sense for, if your index has gone stale over time, if ingestions have failed, what to do, if queries have failed, what to do, how to evaluate more effectively. So, there may have been some recent announcements, as y'all may have seen, with the Google File Search API, which is effectively also a managed pipeline. Context grounding has been doing this for 2 years. We have a fully managed low-code version of that with a higher quality of service, right? That we're very confident in our ability to deliver very high quality, semantic search results. And we provide, more importantly, a congruent, experience for the ingestion, for the management, for the querying, and then also now for the evaluations, of your index, right? So that you can continuously improve and find greater utilization of that within agents, within Autopilot for everyone, within the Gen AI activities, across the UiPath platform, right? So our mission with context grounding is really to embed this as a true native experience within the Agent Builder design, so that ultimately, again, we can help folks access data that they need and then have agents comprehend and reason over that during runtime. A few other things that we'll continue to invest in, and then I'll kind of show some of the cool things in a demo experience. Many of you know, of course, we have these tool guardrails that are available. We've introduced actually a number of new updates to this. Beyond just the existing kind of rule-based tool guardrails that are available within Agent Build Time experience, we now have what are called AI guardrails. These are now AI models that you can define also rules and attributes to be used to do the same set of actions, namely block, filter, escalate, input that a tool receives during the agent runtime, to now do this for things like prompt injection, PII detection, harmful content detection, right? So that, again, you're providing a greater set of guards and shields to your agent to make sure it's operating in a compliant manner. This now exists not only in the tool guardrails area, but also now at the LLM layer. So that at the agent runtime for the LLM that's using and processing data from across multiple tools, you now are able to set these now AI guardrails and define some of those characteristics whereby you want the agent to follow a certain set of rules, right, to make sure it's operating according to your compliance standards. Simulations is a really a great feature that we're going to continue to invest in as well. Namely, it allows for you to do a very simplistic low-code version of tool mocking, whereby we provide a mechanism through an LLM to go and intercept tool calls, do tool input mocking, to tool calling mocking during the agent runtime, so that, what happens is that effectively means that, you can create a variety of new input criteria for your agent to use. So you don't have to store or create a ground truth set. You can use LLM to help you. But then also, more importantly, what this allows for is the ability to test your agent without actually taking action on some of these tools that may have, potential ramifications down the line. So a common example is if you have an agent that's writing to a DB, such as a SQL DB or a Salesforce DB, right? You might not necessarily want that agent to do so in a, design time or sandbox environment, right? Simulations provides a risk-free way of still making sure the agent is reliable, it follows the instruction set that you give it within the agent prompt, but that it doesn't actually necessarily call those tools, right? So it allows for the agent to still think that it's doing those things, right? So you can get the output that you're looking for, get the trajectory that you're looking for, test and make sure the agent's operating in a congruent manner, but it does it in a risk-free manner. So it helps to, allow our developers to test a variety of net new use cases and test those in a risk-free manner. We're going to continue to invest in simulation as a differentiator within our experience. So stay tuned for some cool updates in that regard as well. I mentioned obviously our evaluations experience. We have, a number of new evaluators that I mentioned, but we also have this really cool new feature called our optimizer feature, which is coming out very soon, which will do an evaluation on top of your evaluation results and then provide a set of recommendations to improve your agent from that. So not only, do we have this agent score, which just looks at the definition and the kind of attributes therein, the prompt, your input arguments, your tool definition and attribution to the prompt, and then evaluation results and diversity. But we can actually now interpret the implications of your evaluation results, namely if you score low or if you score high, right? We can take all that rich data, interpret it, and then again help you to use that information to provide a congruent set of updates and recommendations to your prompt and very soon to other elements of the agent, right? So we have all these great scoring facilities and features within the agent build experience, right, that we are very confident in. We're going to continue to invest in. We're going to expand the kind of concept of being able to do these things not just in low code but on top of code-based, or, Python projects, so that again, we can provide all of this great, measurements, scoring capability, not just to low-code agents, but also to coded agents, right? And as part of this kind of ongoing, reliability mission, right? Because building an agent is not a one and done thing. It's a continuous cycle. It's a continuous pattern of iteration, evaluation, review, deployment, review, iteration, right? And then ultimately, right, what an agent really needs to do is be able to ascertain, right, information from the environmental interactions that it has, what it does at runtime, the tools that it calls, right? But also be able to take into account, right, human-based feedback, right? The guidance, the things that as a developer, as a builder of agents, right, you want your agent to do. We need to be able to kind of reinforce some of those behaviors beyond just the kind of programmatic reflection-based patterns, React-based patterns that exist out there. And so agent memory is a kind of key investment area that you'll start to see, and I'll show you guys some of which in the demo very soon. Is a really kind of core pillar of this concept of continuous learning for our agents so that we can take information from its environmental interactions, we can take evaluations data, and then more importantly, we can take now human annotation data, right, and expand this concept of what is all the information that an agent needs to think about and use to create its plan, to manage the state during runtime, right? To ultimately reflect and get better over time. So this is where agent memory comes into play. And we're very bullish on some of the new concepts that we'll introduce and excited for y'all to try this out. What I want to kind of close with before I kind of flip into the demo experience really quick is I just wanted to highlight some of the kind of continued investment themes that we'll start to, that we invested in as part of our mission to get make agents generally available in May. And as part of this last release, and as we kind of look ahead, our vision, and where we want to differentiate, ourselves, our agent build, and our agent lifecycle experience is based on these kind of core pillars, right? Reliability and scale, making sure that we give you all the right tooling, all the right, checks and balances in place. So again, make sure your agent is operating as you see fit, within, the processes in which they're being orchestrated. We now have all of these great, new short and long-term based memory systems and feedback-based memory, right, to kind of reinforce agent behavior and continuously allow them to learn, right? We offer you this concepts of not just building an agent, but optimizing your agent over time using, autopilot-driven assistance in the design time, but also using things like, process intelligence, and what's available through Maestro to help do things like correct agent behavior during Maestro invocations, to identify opportunities for, new agents that could be derived, say, from human-in-the-loop tasks. Ultimately, again, so that as you build and orchestrate agents with UiPath, it's not just a one and done thing. We'll continuously look for areas that we can continue to help improve, straight through processing, help reduce cost savings, all of those kind of key things that you're using to measure the ROI from the process that's being orchestrated. We'll continue to optimize that for y'all. Human in the loops and governance will, of course, be a key part of all of that. We want to make sure it's super easy, again, for humans to be in the mix, not as just builders, but as decision makers and as validators, right? We don't want humans necessarily, having to take time-consuming, tasks, for things like editing and correction, right? We should use the best-in-class things that we have in our continuous learning and our optimization features, right, to help agents do that. But we still need to make sure that agents are operating with the governance standards, right, with these guardrails that we can provide so that they're following the rules of the road, right, and they're ultimately operating not just to do something, but do something in the manner that, is best fit for the business and the process that that business is looking to orchestrate. As I mentioned, we now have support for multiple new input types beyond just string-based input, but now we have file and image-based support. We're going to support audio as a new media, right? So that conversational, folks can interact in a natural language conversation through voice to their agents. And then the final pillar here is really like, how do we help, our end users, right? Who are building in a set of fairly common, LLM-based tasks for things like classification, summarization, extraction, validation. These are great tasks for LLMs. And agents can do a great job of, doing those tasks and using tools to help combine, the best, that an LLM can do with the action, that, an agent provides through function calling. We want to help, make it super easy for users who are building across, these various patterns in that taxonomy to build effectively. And so we're going to invest, as I mentioned, in these templates, in these common patterns, right? And in code-based authoring so that we support the flexibility of our end developers to build effectively and to build in the manner that they want. Now, I'm going to stop with the screen share for the slides. And I want to actually start, and let me just make sure I'm sharing. Cool. I want to show some of the cool stuff that we've introduced into the build experience. So first and foremost, what you'll see on the screen here after I refresh my screen is we have, as I mentioned, our brand new visual designer. So what you'll see now on the screen is actually the representation of your agent that you may build. You see all of the necessary tools within the UiPath experience, right, within your solution kit. But you have this, great new way to represent, your agent's build, so you can see the congruent relationship between, the prompt that you define, here, the tools that you're using, the context that you may reference. And now, most importantly, you can see that we're dividing our agent's, space into, two areas. One being, its memory or its brain for it to continue to learn, and, take feedback from users, but now also the tools, right? The action, kind of the legs of the agent, as we call it, right? For it to go do things. So this new visual designer, right, is as we've already started to measure, has helped our users, right, accelerate the kind of concept of building, quickly building with, all the best practices that we offer here, but building, and deploying these things, in an effective manner. And part of that too comes with this concept of, effectively introducing this new tracing component so that as you build, your agent, you'll have this concept of, being able to see your run history from all the tests that you conduct. You'll be able to see, the spans of your traces as they stream in for everything that happens during the runtime. We'll give you options to kind of, adjust the views here. So you can see it in a traditional trace span view. You can see it in a waterfall style view. You can download the JSON so that you can go interpret it, for more debugging purposes. And then you can even search, within here. Cool things too is, and this is in a staging environment, so pardon me, but what we've also introduced as well is we have now evaluations directly embedded within the tracing experience. I apologize, it's not showing in this agent in particular, but as part of, again, this kind of unified build experience whereby we provide this new visual view for you to see your agents, we provide more traceability and details within the tracing service for your agent execution. But we also provide now this new mechanism to go and directly add, these traces directly to your evaluation sets, and then even run evaluation sets directly from the tracing service. What's more too is now you'll start to see this concept of feedback whereby you can define, and as you interpret, the agent and say you examine the kind of final output here and things look good, you can now start submitting that feedback to, your agent and then even add that to a memory space in here. So the agent then can go and use the feedback that you provide and annotate on your traces. It can also use, what was previously known as the escalation bounded memory on your agent, right? So that it can recall certain human in the loop based interactions and refer to those at runtime to determine whether or not a human should be involved or not. Feedback-based memory is a very similar pattern whereby, the output that you provide to the feedback that you provide to the agent, either on its output or it's on its feedback, it will reference that, as part of its plan making and decision criteria within the agent runtime to help inform, what path it should take and what the output should look like. So we're introducing all these concepts of reinforcement patterns, from humans being involved in all the aspects of the agent build and runtime. What's more is I wanted to also kind of quickly show, this is great, and you can see, you have obviously, again, this is a multi-agent system where we have a number of agents being coordinated from, a router-based agent here. You have all your, IS activities available to you as well. You can see that in your solution package. I want to show another quick example of an agent, namely now our new conversational agents, right? That can do and be represented in very similar kind of manner, right? We have this new great visual design canvas. We give you all those tools that we mentioned. Within the debug experience, it will not just be a tracing view like that, but it'll be a true chat-like experience so that you can interact with and ask questions of your agent. But what's really cool now too is not only can these agents be represented in low code, now you will be able to bring in or add coded agents to be referenced in these agents as well. So this specific agent here is actually a coded agent that I have ported in from my GitHub repository. And now I can see all of the source code for that specific agent, all within the same solution design that I have built my low code agent, right? That's is all managed and synced to my GitHub repo, so I can, obviously manage the source code there. But this gives a, a congruent manner by which we make it super easy for you to, and I'll just show you guys, build agents, right? And have the option to build autonomous agents, conversational agents, and now importing coded agents, right? So this is a great new way, that we're obviously expanding the aperture of, again, the build time experience to not just low code, but also to code. But as we all know, again, the life cycle of an agent is not just one and done. It's a continuous process. It's after you publish your agent and you have it running in a Maestro process, you need to be able to interpret and understand and dissect the data, at runtime. So that's why we've also now invested, in some updates to our agents instance management space. This is obviously available in the UiPath Cloud area, this agents icon here. But you'll see some new things that have started to float in here. Namely, we've introduced some new aggregate metrics at the top. We're not only just showing you the agent unit consumption, but platform unit consumption. We're representing agents in these new cards so that you can more easily find the agents. We're delineating them even by autonomous versus conversational versus coded. And then we're also now showing you some new stats, not just for the monitoring of your agent unit spend, but also now doing things like examining the agents that have feedback so that we can kind of encourage that as an ongoing behavior. And you'll start to see even here too, this concept of feedback as now a space, right, whereby you're able to have full transparency over all the agents that have feedback, which ones have been provided feedback recently, the ability to then add these feedbacks to memory spaces that you can create within this instance management space, so that once you have, and we can do a quick test, once you've provided feedback to this agent, then you have full transparency over everything that goes into its memory. This means that then from here, you can manage what the agent is using in its runtime, right? To again make your agent more reliable. Within all of these deployed agents, you now have this new experience whereby you're able to drill in to see an aggregate set of metrics, your design time definition of your agent, the runtime jobs, the feedback that's been provided to your agent, right, and the memory that it might be utilizing, right? And we give you all of this, right from this kind of like nice integrated instance management experience. So these are some great updates. Obviously, we have lots of room and lots of work and areas for improvement. We're always seeking feedback as y'all are testing and building. So please feel free to reach out. Obviously, we'd love to hear what you guys think about like the new build time experience, about the new instance management experience. There's new content that we need to make. We're very much so open, to help making sure that we can support you guys as effective agent builders. So I'll pause there. I want to leave, 10 or so minutes if there's any Q&A. I'll stop sharing and I'll kind of take a look through the chat and see if there's any questions. Cool. One question from Daniela. How can we join the memory preview? That's a great question. We will have a private preview of agent memory available early end of this month, early next month. What I'm going to do is I'll just put my email right here. And Daniela, you can reach out to me and we can onboard you onto the private preview. What other questions can I answer for folks? Are there things that were not clear? Any feedback? I'd love to hear that. And then, of course, I think we did, I believe, post the. We may not. Yes, we did. We would love, as Christina posted the Google survey, if y'all have 2 minutes to just please provide any feedback or thoughts that you guys have on anything that I just showed there, and any thoughts or questions that y'all may have about the experience. Thank you, Christina. Any other questions that I could help answer about what I just showed or talked about? Yeah, please.
Hey, so name's Daniel. So I also wanted to ask for the coded agent import. Is that something that will be available soon?
So if I heard your question correctly, sorry, you just broke up a little bit on my part. The question was whether or not the coded agents option will be available soon. Is that correct?
I mean, to invoke it into the agent builder.
Got it. Yes, that will be available soon. It's in our lower, what are called our staging environments right now. It will be available very soon in production. And then soon, actually in January, I believe, we're going to introduce a private preview for customers to do something we're calling conversion, which means that you can take a low-code agent project and convert it to a coded agent that then you can sync to your own GitHub repository. So both those things are coming very soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. I think there's a question from Marta. How do agents basically look in coordination with robots? Are they mainly supporters or the other way around? That's a great question. I think it kind of works both ways, right? So within obviously a workflow that you design, right? Obviously, you are leveraging a combination of deterministic attributes and qualities that robots can provide, namely do a certain task and do it the same way every single time, based on a set of rules that I define. Right. And you have agents that can, do that with the prompt that you give it, but again, it's still reasoning over a stochastic model and has to interpret, and there may be some variability therein. Robots provide, two layers of kind of support that exist, within and around agents. Within the workflow, obviously, what robots can do, excuse me, is they can provide, methods for kind of checks and validation, after the agent runs. You can have human in the loop kind of checks. You can have robot checks, right? That, basically balance out the non-deterministic qualities of your agent during that workflow design. But then also robots can be used as tools for agents. So while an agent is using an LLM to reason and think over and come up with a plan and take action, right? Robots are actually great tools for agents because once it figures out its plan, once it knows it has to call a certain number of tools to take action, you want that tool to operate in the same way every single time, right? There should be minimal determinism or non-determinism when it comes to the actual tool invocation. And so robots, because they're deterministic in their design, right, are great at making sure that when they are invoked from an agent, they're going to operate in a deterministic support manner, right, to make sure that that tool, there's no, unreliability and questioning, of that within the agent runtime. So robots work, in both regards. They work in the outer workflow design to help support agents, right, to check agents, right? But they also work great as tools for agents to make sure that the agent's runtime is steady, reliable, and consistent. You got it. Other questions I can answer for folks? Okay. There are a couple things that obviously we're working on the build time experience, the runtime experience. We have obviously these new trials for y'all to get started. One other quick thing that I'll just kind of quickly share on the screen here too. If y'all haven't heard of this yet, this is our new playground experience, which is a fantastic way to get started building agents, building Maestro, right? All without needing to actually sign up for a UiPath account. You can very simply, choose the option to, basically get started with, a Maestro process, and then we'll drop you right into this playground environment whereby you have effectively an emulated studio environment to go and build a Maestro plus process, and then interact with agents and see all the aspects therein. So there it is. This is a pre-built Maestro process that I just signed up for. You get a guided experience to kind of walk you through all the elements within the experience, right? And it gives you access to try things out, try out some of our new features, try out some of the new experiences that we introduce, right? In a basically low fidelity manner. This is an area that, we're going to continue to expand with, new things like virtual enablement kits and enablement sessions. But most importantly, again, as a kind of mechanism for us to also try out net new features for folks to test out and get started building agents quickly. So I'll post a link to this also in the Zoom chat and encourage y'all to give it a try as well. Awesome. Okay, cool. Any other questions? I'll also, here, let me put I'll do a plug for my LinkedIn. If y'all have any questions, I also put my email in the Zoom chat for Daniela, but please feel free if you want to grab that and reach out to me, please feel free to do so. It's my LinkedIn. If you want to connect, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to kind of hear feedback, learn from y'all, get suggestions, all that great stuff.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to Zach for a great session. If you have follow-up questions, you can certainly use the channels we have available in the chapter or Zach's email. And please do fill out the Google form that we shared so we can get some feedback from you also. Thank you very much. Thank you, Miha, as well. Thank you, Zach.
Yes, of course.
Thanks,
Thanks
everyone.
guys. Have a great day.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.